Right now, our guest, all the way from Monterey, California, Kyle Elizabeth Wood, an author. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Now, you are in Monterey, California. What's the weather there right now?
I am cold.
Is it cold, really?
It's cool and lovely and absolutely gorgeous. I wish I had a sweater on.
Yeah, it's about 100 right now in Fresno, I think. So it is.
I
It is something.
I know. I lived in the Central Valley for a long time.
Yeah. Now, you wrote a fascinating book. It popped out to me. One thing, it said the word tomato, which I grow myself. Everybody in California grows tomatoes. And but there's some intrigue, all kinds of stuff. Tell us about Tillie Lewis was the tomato queen. Tell us about her.
Well, Tillie Lewis was originally a New Yorker, but let's get straight to the tomatoes. So
Okay.
she was born so poor, completely in the tenements of New York. And she decided early on, anybody have any problems out there feeling like they got too much going on? Well, so did Tillie. Tillie felt like being poor was not a good idea. Anybody else think that? Being poor is terrible. So she decided as a child that she was going to do whatever it took to legally become wealthy. And she looked around New York and she did a couple of things that were all positive, but she was always moving forward from the stock market on. Even though women couldn't do that, she did it anyway. So can't was not in her vocabulary. When the Great Depression happened, she had a boyfriend named Florendo Del Gaizo, who was a bigwig in the tomato processing world, also in the stock market in Naples, Italy. And in Naples, they grow San Marzano tomatoes. Have you had San Marzano?
Yeah, the good tomatoes. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Now,
Well,
how does she know this person? How does she
Pardon?
know? How does she know this person?
Well, she decided in New York at 15 to fit better age, and she signed up and she joined the Ziegfeld Follies. And Florendo Del Gaizo enjoyed the ladies of the Ziegfeld Follies, and they met and formed a, let's just say, friendship.
Friendship. Okay.
They had a friendship.
Understood.
Yeah. Yes. So they retained this friendship throughout throughout life until he passed away in 1937. But before that happens, he has this big tomato deal going on. The stock market comes along, wipes everybody out. We remember that from as a historian. The Smithsonian tariff is enacted to see that our agriculture survived in America. So Del Gaizo cannot bring the San Marzano tomato to America anymore. Tillie says, wait a minute. I researched and see that the Mediterranean climate and that wonderful heat that you're complaining about just a smidge is fabulous for agriculture, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
San Joaquin County and the entire Central Valley, oh my goodness, it's the bread basket and the fruit basket and the vegetable basket of the world. Tillie decides to move the whole tomato industry from Naples to Stockton, California. So she goes ahead and does that, but she says, I'm only doing it, buddy, if you make me president of the company. So imagine in 1932, a female Jewish Brooklyn-born gal coming to California and in a fur coat and everything else. She had to get rid of that because it was a little hotter than she expected. And she starts the Flotil, Florendo Del Gaizo, Tillie Lewis.
There's some great graphics coming up here on the screen.
Good.
You now get low-calorie food, as delicious as high-calorie food.
Right, that's later. That's later. That's later. So for Tillie, again, during the Great Depression, people are starving. So she grows the San Marzano because it's cheap.
Cheap, yeah.
It's inexpensive, and people from Italy are already wanting this product. So she does whatever it takes. So during the Great Depression, she's growing tomatoes and hiring without dealing with race or gender. She's hiring everybody who's a good, solid, wants to work person. So that's she's excited and she's doing that.
But what a vision! What a vision for a New Yorker to research. I'm moving to California. We're going to make a fortune without ever having grown a tomato.
Well, she was his girlfriend, so she was in Naples all the time.
Oh, so
and
she knew.
She also knew she wasn't the wife. So not being the wife, she knew she could be replaced at any moment.
Yeah.
So she was teaching herself. She went to business school at night. She taught herself. But back to the tasty diet that you're talking about. That happens because everyone, we end up in World War II. She's in the meantime, because she's Jewish, because she's a woman, she's been arrested a few times in Stockton because it's all really suspect to have a woman being so successful. Yeah. They ended up finding she was fine and there was no issue with her. She was amazing. So that morphed into the United States government, who had the FBI looking at her, seeing this woman is amazing. So they have the Tillie Lewis group pack C and K rations during World War II.
Wow.
So she gets that. So now she's thinking, what next? It was always what next. So everybody think this is a terrible time, but what next? Something's going to happen next that could be really positive for you. And that's what Tillie was always thinking. She goes, okay, I've got great money going with World War II and packing, but the war is going to end. The war will end, and then what? She discovers Americans are starting to get fat. So with that, she thinks, okay, so let's start looking into diet foods. And they originally decided to push her aside and put her in a small niche into health food stores, and she says no. She held out until the American Medical Association said yes to her specific diet. It was the first American Medical Association diet approved product in the world. Now she's now getting it to doctors, she's getting it to patients, and then she's told by one of her employees something she always did. She listened to her people. She was told, you know, Mrs. Lewis, Black people, and this is not pandering, this is the truth, Black people seem to be getting more diabetes than other people. That's something we need to look at. So because she was Jewish and she understood anti-Semitism and how that felt, she got in a plane and she went to the Black hospitals and she gave away food,
wow,
tasty diet food, to the Black hospitals, to the Black children. And that's how she rolled. I mean, she made sure that people were getting her products, and they were the best and they were the healthiest that could possibly be provided.
And I don't want to run out.
Quality and quantity.
And she's beautiful, by the way. You see this beautiful picture. I don't want to run out of time before we get to this other subject, and that is the Smithsonian.
Right.
Is doing an exhibit on her.
On her and several other women. This is the year of the woman. Goodness gracious, they put us ladies out there when everything goes to heck in a handbasket. But if anybody can handle a problem, we ladies can't. So they went ahead and, much to my dismay, they opened the exhibit online. So the exhibit for The Only One in the Room is what the exhibit is called. And it's about 7 different women, but it's starring Tillie Lewis, because she did so much that was different and unique, and it provided a global thing for women. So right now you can Google, and I hope that you guys have that somewhere, where you can Google the exhibit and see Tillie and some other amazing women that you have never, the most important women you have never heard of, that are at the Smithsonian right this very minute, and Tillie Lewis. And they did use my book as a place to work from with that. So I'm very proud of that.
We've got to read this book. This is an inspirational story of a woman coming out of nowhere and getting somewhere. But it's a valley story, too. New York to the valley. And who's even heard of her? I didn't. I've never heard of her. And I read all the time. So
well, and I do want you to know that there's the Tillie Lewis Industrial Park. There's the Tillie Lewis Company there. There's the Tillie Lewis Theater. All of these things that surround us that we do just ignore. Yeah, we absolutely don't pay attention to the history around us. And that's not a fault, but it's something wonderful to discover within our own communities.
Well, tell me how you get your book. Where do we go to get your book?
Amazon.com has Tillie Lewis, the Tomato Queen, in both Kindle and in hardcover, and it's available right there for you to enjoy.
Yeah. What I
And I
want to
do
do,
hope you do.
we're going to have you back. I want to schedule for a longer interview. These are supposed to be 10 minutes, but
Wonderful.
I could talk for hours about this. I'm going to get the book, I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to have you back on.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
And our guest is Kyle Elizabeth Wood, and the book is Tillie Lewis, the Tomato Queen. And the pictures, are these pictures in the book too that we've flashed on the screen? That's fascinating. Great pictures. Kyle, we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
All the way from Monterey. We'll be back.
Stay cool. Stay safe.
We'll be back with more Central Valley Talk right after this.